want a sandwich. Now. Oh, sandwich wench. Yo, wench. Sandwich. Now. I'm going to need a sandwich. A sandwich. I'm going to need a sandwich. A sandwich. I'm going to need a sandwich. A sandwich. A sandwich. A sandwich. I'm going to need a sandwich. A sandwich. I'm going to need a sandwich. A sandwich. A sandwich. Oh, sandwich wench. I want a sandwich. Sandwich.
If I hadn't completely cocked up hitting the audio then, this would have been seamless. Hello everyone, welcome back to the Political Recap stream here on the Moistski Live channel. Joining me to talk about some stuff, for the last 2 weeks, is Trups. Say hello, Trups.
Hello, Trups.
How is Trups?
Trups is okay.
How is
Trups
Trups
living in this heat?
Oh, you cope with the heat well, do you, or...?
I was not raised in the heat, but I have adapted.
I find I'm a little bit more tolerant. I grew up in a very landlocked area. There was no breeze where I grew up as a kid. So you had to the only shades you had were trees. And your room, which was obviously a sauna. There's no air conditioning back then. There's still barely any now, to be honest, unless you're in a shop. We have an air conditioning unit downstairs, but because of the cost of electricity, we can't use it. So I've got a fan in my room at the moment. That's the best I can do.
So fun story. You mentioned the AC and like the cold. You know, something that shocked me when I went to Seattle for work. It shocked me to realize that some cars in Seattle old enough don't have air conditioning built in.
That's a lot of cars in the UK, to be honest.
Yeah, you know, I never would have considered it, but it makes a lot of sense.
Cars without AC are hot boxes. Absolute hot box hell. And by that I mean, you get in the seat, if it's leather, you burn. Nice. It's a greenhouse, so naturally the air is going to make you sweat instantly. Every inch of your body is going to stick to that boiling hot chair, and you are going to suffer. Your internal body temperature is going to absolutely skyrocket. You're going to black out. Simple as that. I don't care for it. I don't like going in cars anyway, but not those ones. The old days were horrible. I hated that as a kid. You try to undo the window, and if it's too far down, it's too cold. Shut up, mother. I'm dying here.
Mother, I'm dying.
Can you not see from the perspiration, this valuable resource of water, this agua that has left my body? I'm turning into
It needs to be inside, not outside, mother.
I'm turning into a raisin, mother.
Help now.
This tantamount to child abuse.
Quiet.
My mother would have smacked the crap out of me if I said that as a kid.
I believe that, based on the stories we told. But how are you doing?
I'm all right. I've been keeping busy. Today's been the hottest day of the week, but I've managed to get stuff done before I got too warm. The only annoyance is, in the evenings, the sun is on my room. Well, I do all my streaming then, so my room gets really hot because my computer's on as well. Otherwise, I'd have my tablet on and I'd just be chilling out instead. But I can't because I work. And so Mother Nature's like, well, fuck you then. I'm going to hurt you. And so we suffer, and we suffer greatly. But I have got a fan on with a humidifier thing in it, so it's got a little water tank in it, and it's doing all right. I haven't got it on the highest setting, so I seem to be managing, which I think.
So you have a bit of a dry heat going on then.
It's definitely dry enough that I need some moisture.
Okay, see, I live in a place in the country where, if you walk outside, like not today, but a couple days earlier in this week, if you walked outside, you know, kind of like what you would imagine Jurassic Park might have felt like.
I mean, humidity beyond reckoning.
Oh yeah, no. Like you went through a fucking like just a mist, a
Yeah.
smog of heat and
Yeah.
wet.
So
Yeah.
we'll do that at some point, and I dread. That's the one I dread. I will have that fan on its highest setting, and I'll be filling that thing up like 2 to 3 times a day, just so I don't die. Okay, so my skin doesn't need too much moisturizer. But it's not ideal. It's not
No, definitely
But
not.
it's fine. It's fine because unlike my sisters, I can cope with this. I still wear. I'm not wearing a hoodie right now, but I will still be wearing a hoodie when I go to work, and I'll be probably wearing one all day anyway. It's just my go-to. I don't sweat through. I don't sweat that much unless I'm working out. So I'm all right. My sisters are the ones that suffer, and it's the funniest shit to me ever. Because I will be sat there eating an ice cream in a hoodie with my hood up in the sun, and they're like, "Go kill yourself,
Edgy
please."
boy.
Yeah, edgy boy. Go kill
I just
yourself.
like all I can think of is Dank Yellow going, edgy boy alert.
Careful, you cut yourself on all that edge. Yes, I remember.
Love it.
It's a good meme. It's a good meme.
That is a very good meme. I like that one a lot.
So where would you like to start? Because we've got 2 weeks to catch up on. What's taken your fancy of late?
I mean, if we want to talk about the biggest one, the thing that affects both of us, so that we can have a nice little start to this,
Sure.
it would obviously be inflation.
What's that?
That's us suffering, I think. So according to some Pew Research, we're looking at some between 7.5 to 10% inflation. Apparently, you guys are about 5.1, 7.4 inflation.
Nope.
But basically,
9.
well, this was from.
Oh well,
fucking
actually, to be fair, I was about to go up anyway. But yes, sorry, carry on. My apologies.
But yeah, we're it's pretty shit.
We had this discussion on
gas has sucked.
on PMQs on Wednesday. Someone asked me about what fuel costs here, and I know what it is pound part, but then ours is per liter, not by gallon. So then someone had correctly pointed out our by gallon is $8 something else.
Wait, like US?
After we converted it, yes. So we're paying $8 something per gallon.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Well, okay. You know, I would say like, oh, that's terrible. I mean, it is terrible. It is terrible. But then I remember that your guys' country is like the size of like a state.
a small state, yes.
Well, somebody made the comment where it was like the entire Grand Canyon is larger than the length of the UK.
Nice.
So
I know where I'd rather live.
Well, I fucked the Grand Canyon. You want to talk about heat, right? The fucking desert is not the play. Especially because Arizona's partially on. Oh, I'm sorry, not Arizona, New Mexico, partially on fire.
Isn't it always though? To be honest.
This one's actual fire though.
Oh, actual
fire! Yeah, as opposed to metaphorical fire.
Oh, okay. How so?
The fucking forestry service botched a couple of controlled burns.
Oh well, that's some stellar work right there.
And when I say botched a couple, I mean they've created the largest wildfire in New Mexico history.
Okay. So they did it. They did it to help the place, and they end up damaging it instead.
Yep. I guess California advised.
I mean, they might have sent them some eucalyptus. That might have helped.
Oh yes. Does that help? Wait, does that?
No.
Oh, okay, good. I thought like suddenly I was scoffing at first, but then I went, wait, hold on. What if I'm?
It might be the thing where I've completely forgotten the plant that California imported that ended up burning their state anyway.
Oh, I'm not sure. I can't imagine it's eucalyptus because that's like
there is a plant that produces a lot that's quite like it produces a certain chemical that is incredibly flammable, and I remember it being a plant that was imported to California and it didn't help the situation at all. I just can't remember what it was.
I leave it to you to find out what the fuck we're talking about,
or just what Meg's talking about, because it could be complete and utter bollocks. It might be a myth. It might be a myth, to be honest.
Now, besides gas, though, um, I have noticed there's been. So, are you familiar with the phrase shrinkflation?
No.
Okay, so shrinkflation is when companies decide that they want to save money,
Right.
and the way that they'll do that is they will charge you the same amount of money for the same product, but they will put less product in the thing.
Oh, we have that happening here anyway. Chocolate bars are getting smaller. Bakeries are producing smaller cakes. Yeah. I remember that. I
Right.
know the name
Yeah.
though.
So yeah, that's apparently the name for it. I'm not quite sure. Um, you know, but I'm pretty sure I've been paying for stuff that just hasn't gone the distance.
We've had that here. We're
Uh,
having to buy extra food shopping
yeah,
for the
it's
same reason.
food, especially and the worst thing is the way that they'll do it is they'll give you the same size bag, but they'll say on the bag, you know how they'll say like ounces, whatever, like how many of whatever is in there. I've noticed that that number's gone down, and I'm like, wait, you lie, you cheeky shit, you.
Cheeky
Um.
shit. Are you sounding British? I like that.
Oh yeah. For whatever reason, I left work today, and all I could think of was you fucking muppet. Um. So yes, you're having an impact.
I like this. I
Oh,
approve of
I'm
this.
sure you do.
It appeals to me.
Yes, I'm sure it does. But yeah, so I mean, this is I've noticed that, and it's food products, but it's also in like toilet paper, paper products, that kind of stuff. They're also going down in how many sheets are in a roll per se, right? And stuff like that. And I was wondering if you've noticed those things happening. And now, of course, this is like the company's way to like try and save money because costs are so high.
Yeah.
But my I guess my question would be, what part is the company trying to save money on?
Their profit
Because
margin.
like, right, oh, that's fair. But it's not like the stock market is going to do well, so it's not like they're
No, it's not.
protecting
Well,
investors.
if they're in stocks at all, they're in real bad hands right now. There is no
Yeah,
version of
I've
this where
noticed.
they're not going to suffer at all. But they're reducing the size of the product. They're trying to make what they have go further, which means they are trying to protect what profit they make. Not that it
I
matters.
see.
If the cost of living is going up as well, and they may have to then increase wages, then they're going to struggle anyway. So I think
Has
they're
your
just
cost of living gone up?
ours could hit 15%. So yeah, it's going up a fair bit.
You-
Um, I like
Ours
our
are.
government solution is we're going to give you 1,200 ish, but we're not at the same time. You get some of that. Others who are eligible for will get more than you, and we're like, but then that's not offsetting the issue at all. You're just taking money from something else that borrowing more money. In fact, you're not
Yeah,
actually.
you're just taking from pot A, putting it in pot B, and going, look, we
Yeah,
have money.
and then we still have to pay it back anyway. So how about you tackle this cost of living issue? I know they're attributing it to the war in Ukraine at the moment because of where we get certain supplies from. And I'm like, well, have you considered, I don't know, setting up trade deals with other countries perhaps that have these resources that apparently we need so bad? It's not rocket science. We're not in the EU anymore. And there are plenty of
Mm.
countries out there. I don't mind if my eggs
Oh
get
yeah.
flown in from New Zealand. I don't care as long as they still make me an omelette.
Well, you know, you mentioned eggs, and I was just reading
Hey.
the chat, and it was funny that they had mentioned that.
Oh, have
How
they?
many food processing plants have burned down so far? I think it's like 5.
Nice.
So this was actually something that I was just about to ask you before we had started the stream. But have
Oh,
you
okay.
heard some of these stories about food processing plants being set on fire? Walmart clearing out food out of like non-expired food out of like the floor for sale, um,
What?
or things like that.
Are you kidding?
Mm-mm. So I
What?
keep seeing these videos posted. Usually they're posted on TikTok because, of course, short. videos.
Yeah, of course, of course.
Talking.
might
But
need a
I
drink
have
for
seen
this.
videos of. Well, let's see here. Let me see if I can pull up the Walmart clearing out food, non-expired food. Yeah, here it is. Walmart throws out piles of unexpired food in viral video, but why?
I totally haven't poured a drink while you're doing that. Don't mind me. I'll have my victory sip of.
I just linked it to our chat.
Mm.
When I
Allow
say
me
our
to have a
chat, I
look,
mean
then.
the one in Discord, not
Yeah,
me.
yeah. Let's have a look. Fact check. Walmart throws away piles of unexpired. Why are they throwing it away?
Apparently, according to the manager, he says he can't sell it.
Why not?
Now that doesn't say. Walmart insists it has a good reason to dispose of the food. Unfortunately, due to the tornado that affected our store in Salina, Ohio on November 5th, the food being disposed of was unsafe to eat.
Hang
No,
on.
that's the wrong.
You've got a
sorry,
little thing at the bottom
that's-
here. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration (FDA) says food stored in refrigerators is only considered safe for eating if power's gone for under 4 hours. I assume
Well,
at some point.
This is the wrong one. The wrong
is
story.
it?
This is from a while ago.
Oh yeah, it's 2017, mate.
Yep, my bad. I would have only presumed that the.
That's unfortunate.
Whatever.
You did a me.
Yes, I did. I will keep digging through that.
Please do.
But yeah, no, I've seen that. Plus, okay, so the food processing plants one. Have you heard about that one? That one I can at least verify is true.
No, I have not. Please.
Okay, so food processing plants being set on fire.
Okay.
So there's a conspiracy theory. We'll say conspiracy theory. That people are burning down food processing plants. The fact check is pointing out that there's a planned increase in fires at food processing plants to purposely create food shortages. However, there is no evidence to support this claim. Obviously, you lit it on fire.
Right.
Now, here's the thing, though.
Okay.
So, according to... Now, this is a title. Ready? Senior Vice President of Communications at the National Chicken Council, Tom Super, told Reuters via email that the claims seem to be, quote, fake news. I can only speak for chicken, but like any manufacturing plant industry, there are generally a few fires that occur each year across the country. The majority of them are accidental and are contained rather quickly, and certainly not enough to affect the chicken supply. That being said, these have affected the supply, and they have not been contained.
Okay.
And we're at I think it was, let's see here, food processing plant fires since May of 2021. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. That's a lot, actually. That's a fuck ton more than I expected.
Right.
And these are not full burn downs. Some of them are just fires that have damaged product. Nonetheless, though, this is a journalist categorizing all of the fires and all of the news stories about them, and we're looking at way over like 70.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Just wow.
Yeah, about 70 total, looks like.
That's not good.
No, especially because, of course, yes, people have mentioned that yes, food shortages are a thing, but also I start to beg the question. Now, of course, this is the conspiracy theory part, so feel free to consider my thoughts on this. Just that, if you would like, if it makes you feel any better about yourself.
Right.
But okay, so you're telling me that right after we have a supply chain crisis that occurs after COVID, that we then start seeing some people would say, unusual amount of plant fires damaging different parts of food processing.
Right.
At the same time, we are seeing inflation reach record highs. We have seen a place like the baby formula plant be shut down by the FDA because apparently the actual story with that was that there was a bacteria that they found that wasn't even immediately in the wasn't actually immediately in the food or in like the actual processing area, but it was found growing in a storage room, and it took them months to clean that up, and only just now have they now reopened that plant to start remaking formula. But apparently this had been whistleblown a long time ago, allegedly. So I couldn't tell you as to why it took this long for there to be something done about it, but now it starts to beg the question, why do these things start lining up? And I don't like it.
Understandably, to be honest, because this is a bit sus, really, isn't it?
Well, exactly.
Anyone else call sus, by all means, let us know in the comments or the live chat.
I don't want to be a crazy right-winger, but they are making me one. True!
Hello, Feel Freak, and yes, I think they're doing a good job of that for most of us. I got called alt-right the other day.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, I haven't heard that in a while.
I presume it wasn't by an alt-righter.
No. Someone said that my channel, because I now upload to another channel because my main one's not this one. And someone said this kind of presentation and avatar, cartoon, English accent reminds me of it makes me think you're an alt-right creator. I'm talking about.
What they're telling you is that you're Sargon.
I was talking about. I don't really look like Sargon, but all right. I was talking about Ezra Miller and the ongoing issues legally with Ezra Miller, and I'm like, hang on. Your takeaway from this is this creator must be alt-right. Okay. You're a bit of a
You mean
twat.
the criticizing grooming of children is only a right-wing thing? Well, fucking sign me up, brother.
You're too ethnic. Oh, it's too funny. Sorry,
I mean, hell, the Ezra Miller thing is fucking disgusting.
It is.
But yeah, no. So that's this whole thing. Related, however, to the whole plant situation is the thing that we were talking about before the stream, which is cows.
Right. So, Trups, before we started, asked me if I'd seen a picture or a video. I think it was a video of cows, and oddly on Twitter, I had seen it. It was a field of a lot of steak wasted. Not very halal and looking very much unalive. And I think that, because I'm a big steak fan, is well and truly haram. And I got quite upset by this. So would Trups like to provide context as to this cow issue that we are now discussing?
Yeah, so apparently, and I did check the date on this, just in case there were any other thousands of cows dying. Yes, this is from June 16th, so this is the correct one.
Oh, thank God for that. Those dead cows are this year.
Yes. Thousands of cattle in Kansas died over the weekend amid a sizzling heat wave and high humidity levels that continue to threaten livestock in one of the nation's top cattle-producing states. There were at least 2,000 cattle deaths in southwest Kansas. Much of Kansas saw heat advisories amid triple-digit temperatures, high humidity Saturday and Sunday. And yeah, so the picture that you described was essentially what looked like thousands of cattle either on their side or upside down, actually, fully straight-legged, fully rigor mortis, and just lined up as if they all like suddenly dropped dead of the plague right there.
Yeah.
Now I believe it was Dibula who posted it.
That might have been how I saw it, to be fair.
Yeah, because then I had reposted it. And I remember seeing in the comments section somebody was saying like, "Oh, it looks like nerve agent because they're straight leg and all that stuff." It's possible, especially if they were all there. Now,
Yeah.
I want to tell you, if they died in separate locations, not all together like that, moving that many cows would suck.
Takes some commitment, doesn't it?
Takes a lot of fucking machines.
It was a lot. From what I saw, that was a fair amount of steak. Like a good.
Yeah, no, that's a lot of meat to move.
Wasted meat. I might cry.
No one likes wasted meat.
No one does.
But I mean, you look at these things and you genuinely have to wonder, how? And the reason I bring up the how so early is because so we're in June, right? This happened over the weekend in June amid triple digits as the thing said.
Mm-hmm.
June is not the hottest month of the year, clearly. There have been hotter years.
There are going to be a few days, that blip. Of course there are. But July and August are the two. They're the main ones for us here in this country.
Right.
I find it...
Right, absolutely it is. And I find it strange that in June we had thousands of cattle just suddenly drop dead. Whereas in previous years, in hotter years on record, in July and August, where humidity and heat is usually hotter, we had not seen this level of, sudden death.
So I have a query, really, because there is a chance that this does happen every year. It's just this year that someone noticed it and thought, I'll make a grander point. Like, try and make this seem like it's a climate change issue when it might not be that. Maybe this does happen every year. Because, let's face it, there's a shitload of cattle. There's going to be death in places. There's no way you're going to get 100% yield on your cattle. You're not going to get that return. There's a percentage margin for error, right? So they would expect death. If it happened this early, then people need to have a fucking panic attack because they're about to lose a lot more. So I mean, I was more inclined to think that this was one of those rare accidents, but I don't know.
Now, apparently, the associate professor and beef extension veterinarian for Kansas State University, had made a comment saying the heat itself is not abnormal for Kansas, and cattle are typically able to tolerate it relatively well. But the heat combined with reduced cooling winds and high humidity levels created harsh conditions for the cattle.
Yeah.
A relatively mild spring may have also prevented the animals from properly adapting to higher temperatures. Some cattle may not have fully shed their winter coats by now, which would interfere with their ability to dissipate heat.
Right. So that would make more of a valid... that's a more valid point then, isn't it?
Oh, yes, absolutely. But I noticed that they say may not have, not yes. Not, hey, we observed that these dead cattle, which aren't moving and therefore are easy to observe, they still have a lot of their winter coat, thus leading us to the conclusion that the reason that they died was heat exhaustion caused by a failure to be able to actually disperse heat.
Yeah.
I feel like this is a really easy thing to figure out. But even still, the idea that suddenly thousands died, especially just one person's cattle, like that one picture.
Mm-hmm.
No other places that were noted in Kansas. Just that one. Like there are too many questions, not enough answers, and it makes me a skeptic.
Understandably so, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's the part where I become the conspiracy theorist, because I would much rather them come out and say, we have found the answer.
Yeah.
And I go, cool. All right, that's the answer. But until they do that, I'm going to be as fucking, out there as I want to be, because they have yet to provide me with good answers.
I guess for the time being, we have
think?
to. I honestly don't know what to think. Because I don't know, I'm not a farmer. I'm not somebody that has any prior knowledge to any of this. I don't know if global warming is a factor. I don't know if it's just a freak accident. I don't know if this happens every year or not. My skepticism is far too early back, and my lack of knowledge doesn't help me. I just think that I really wanted a fucking tomahawk, and Kansas now can't provide. I'm quite pissed off at this.
That's true. The way you say skeptic is making you sound conspiratorial. Yes, I know. I'm aware.
And I blame Superman from this, because he's from Kansas after all.
Yes.
He should have saved him with his frost breath.
Yeah, true. Sorry, I just remember watching your video earlier today when you were talking about how you don't watch superhero things.
Yeah, I only remember these little details. I remember I have seen things. I stopped after Endgame, so anything now I haven't seen, and I don't care enough. No. But I have seen the Snyder Cut of the Justice League, so I do know about Frost Breath.
That's good. At least you got that down.
I mean, it was 4 hours. If I didn't fucking watch it, it was a waste of a purchase. I'm just pissed off it's in IMAX. I don't care. True. It's square. It makes no sense. It looks horrible. Never mind. Carrying on.
So what do you want to talk about? I've gone on a rant for a solid let me just 30 minutes.
Go back for a minute and just talk about inflation over here. So,
okay.
Last week it was determined that it would be as high as 9% this year, inflation. And Boris Johnson had just survived a vote of no confidence. He survived by minimal votes, by the way, which meant not only did he not have a majority in Parliament, he didn't have a majority in his own party. He then put out a statement saying, well, I've won now, because one vote really doesn't... It doesn't matter if it's one vote, he still wins. I've now won, so when I get on with the business and do what's right for the people. Okay. No one believes this horseshit. Scotland's now trying to push with another illegal referendum to leave the United Kingdom, because independent Scotland is a better Scotland. Okay. You've got Labour who don't believe it in the first place, because while they themselves don't exactly have a leader who could lead this country, they at least haven't brought Parliament into disrepute, trying to change the ministerial code so you don't have to quit when you get caught breaking ministerial code. They haven't, they haven't got a leader who's that controversial. Boris, though, has already just carried on as if nothing's wrong. Oh, but inflation going up by 9%. It's okay, we've got loads of people in work. That'll fix this. It won't. It hasn't fixed it yet. It's not going to fix it either. If you think it's going to fix it, you're an idiot, because it's going to go up now by up to 15% inflation. Clearly an indicator your idea is not working. Nor is borrowing tens of billions to give people up to £1,200, not fully £1,200, not that £1,200 goes that far to begin with, to offset some of the additional burden created by these increases in energy prices, and then by extension food prices that are going up because to get the manufacturers to make this, their energy is also going up as well. So I wonder who's to blame for this. Is it the energy companies that are fleecing the people, or is it the government for not being able to keep the energy companies from fleecing the people? Because if the energy companies weren't able to fleece the people, then everything else wouldn't be going up so much. I do wonder. Noggin jogging. By all means, I'm not giving an opinion on it on purpose, although I kind of am at the same time. Think what you want. I think Boris has failed as a Prime Minister at this point, and he should have resigned. Because I don't see him winning the next election. So what's the point of him being there? He is a lame duck Prime Minister. Straight up. And if inflation could hit up to 15%, food prices are going to get even higher. And you mentioned Big Bad Wolfie in the chat, incompetency of this government. Yeah, you probably will see it actually. And I'll be honest, they've been wanting it for over nearly 10 years now, so I guess they'll get it at some point. Once in a generation apparently is 6 years, because apparently the average lifespan of a Scottish person is exactly that, 6 years. But with our inflation going up as well, and with the additional issues which we are having as well, which include UK changing the Northern Ireland Protocol, which in turn is going to lead now to a legal battle with the EU because they don't want it changed. We're kind of in a position where we're not actually levelling up as Boris keeps saying we're going to do. The only thing he has good on his side is that unemployment is going down. That's all he's got. The problem is, everyone who's working now is now struggling a lot more to get by. You can brag about more people working, but if people are having to use food banks while also working, are you actually accomplishing anything? And the answer is no. To a point, in this household, our energy bill went up. Well, we normally spend at this time of year about £100 to £150 a month on electricity. It's gone up to about £250, and that's really bad because we're not a wealthy family by any stretch of the imagination. So money now is going further. Food shopping has had to be doubled because, well, we're not getting as much, and that's getting expensive. Everything's going up actually. I may have to start charging customers for cleaning services because cleaning supplies have gone up as well. And yet they'll probably say no, and then I'll have to remind them they can go fuck themselves. But Boris's policies here are a short-term burst for the people, which won't help anyway. Really, in the long run, it won't help in the slightest. Bear in mind, if you give people, give every family in this country £1,200, yeah? Okay, what happens when that period that money is supposed to last ends? Go. Where do you go then? Where do you go? You go nowhere. Because you've not made it easier for them. You've offset it temporarily because they were never able to earn the money to cover it the next time anyway. Not like they're going to be able to save up for it, because they're already struggling to get by. So I'd love to know what Boris's actual solution here is, because this is a level of incompetency that he should fully appreciate and understand. And the problem I've had is when I cover it in PMQs is watching this absolute thunder cunt try and not answer a single question and then brag about what he's doing, which isn't a brag in the slightest, and then say, but if Labour are in office, they'd tax people, when realistically there are very few options left that don't involve taxing somebody, is astonishing. Also, Labour have been out of office for 12 years. So how can you keep on saying that that Labour would do this, when you yourself are going to have to do the taxing anyway? There are very few options left. Windfall tax is one of the very few, and I don't support a windfall tax. Yet it is going to be more than likely what happens. It's interesting really to see that his party have already started rallying behind him to an extent, but there are many who do not trust him at all. And I think this is a damning statement of Conservatives, really, because in this country, well, last time the Prime Minister had an overconfidence vote, it was Theresa May. She survived it easily, by the way, and then she resigned about 3 to 5 months later. Boris Johnson lost he won, but by an even, it was even worse for him with how many people voted to get rid of him. I had no confidence in him. I don't see him surviving the year. And yet, he is so stubborn, I would be inclined to believe he'll stay there anyway, even though he now knows he no longer holds the majority. He doesn't hold any majority in his party, so it means he cannot just force things through anymore. He holds enough of a majority that they can't get rid of him, yes, but he doesn't have enough of a majority to get policy through. And what does that make him? A lame duck. So why is he even there? Theresa May knew she couldn't get Brexit done. She walked away with some dignity. Boris, though, knows he can't do anything, and he's going to stay anyway because he's Boris fucking Johnson. Sorry, Alexander Boris the Feffethel fucking Johnson.
We got one of those.
Yeah. But yeah, inflation's going to go right up here. And by the way, there's already a warning from the Bank of England saying that because interest rates are going to be going up for a fifth time in a row, by a quarter of a percentage point, we're now at a risk of, already being in a recession. And yet you've got the Chancellor bragging about how our economy, he can get it back on track. He can totally fix this. I'm sorry, a guy worth as much as him doesn't understand just how difficult the situation is right now. He won't understand. His ivory tower would never allow for that. And I think he's going to struggle to truly make this point, because or save the country, because his options involve doing things that actually got us in the mess 12 years ago, borrowing too much, and then not being willing to step up and bully the big companies that have made this mess even more untenable. And I don't know why they're so willing to defend these energy companies, because they are absolutely taking the fucking piss out of the people, which means you are defying the people themselves. It's almost treason, to be honest, because your job is there to serve the people, and yet I know all politicians, no one does it. Thank you for that. Be that pedantic prick. I don't really mind too much. But the point is, you're meant to be serving the people, and you are now preferring the energy company to the people. And your way of dealing with it is to borrow money that we don't have, obviously, we're borrowing it, to give the people a little money if they're eligible for certain tiers, and maintain the energy company's profit margins. I don't understand that. Because they're not providing a better service to us, by the way. They're really not. I'm done with my rant now. It's now 45 minutes.
Nice. I'm glad that we possess the ability to rant
for 45 fucking minutes.
Well, that's the thing is, we've got a president who has been making similar comments.
Mm-hmm.
We had a report that came out that was originally it was done in Q4 of 2021.
Yeah.
And Biden came out and started talking about how the average American family has more money in their savings than they did a year ago.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, he didn't say that when that report had come out,
or
when that report had been conducted. He said it now, which, let's be honest, we're in Q2, almost Q3. Things have drastically changed, friendo. We've got a much bigger problem going on right now than what you presume that report is talking about. I mean, between issues like, I don't know, start listing off the things that we were complaining about: inflation, gas, fires, Ukraine. I mean, no, I'm sorry. What you were talking about is not happening. It's not relevant, and somebody should have stopped him before he walked out on the stage and talked about that report. Unless they were intentionally trying to sabotage him, which is possible.
Wait, what report again?
So there was a report that was done by, I think, it wasn't Pew Research, but it was one of these research polls, and basically had asked Americans, said, on a scale of not well to I'm living comfortably, how would you rate your financial situation? And the vast majority said between either I'm okay or I'm living comfortably.
Right.
Back then, it was valid. Now, it's not. And he used those numbers recently in a speech, thus making him seem out of touch. Which, yeah, I mean,
doesn't help.
He is.
Yeah, a little bit, just a smidge out of touch. I have a question for you because I've completely.
Sure.
I assume you have been paying. There's one topic we probably should touch on quickly because we'll forget otherwise, and it's actually a very big American topic. And it's an obvious one because I've seen Ranting Monkey tweet about it all week long.
Oh, okay.
January the 6th. The insurrection.
Yes, the world-ending democracy is in jeopardy. Yeah.
Even though it's not a democracy, it's a fucking
republic.
Yes, well, fun story about that. There was actually a comment made, but I forget who the fuck said it, but it was a comment that said that those who try to say that we are a democracy are actively trying to subvert that which the republic stands for.
I just want to say that
it was an old radio quote.
It's a good quote, to be honest. My 72-year on the throne, long may she reign queen, at the age of 96, can still kick the living shit out of your president.
Yeah,
that's all I want to say.
I mean, stairs kick the shit out of my president.
Mine can do the stairs. Can yours?
Hey man, I've seen your dude dance with a lightsaber. He can do more than we expect.
Are we referring to Palpatine now or something? Is it Palpa Biden?
No, I'm sorry, but you remember that video?
I admit
Fiesta forever, and he's dancing up on this other lady.
Fuck yeah!
How do you? I was like, that's literally like everything I always think of. It's like Boris Johnson. What's he? Oh, that guy.
Oh no, I'm thinking about the Queen and Biden.
Oh, right. Sorry.
If Boris was the Queen, he'd be the shitest Queen.
Well, okay. Look, the Queen. I don't know if she personally could do it. She definitely has a much better working memory than our president. But I think the way that the Queen would win is by commanding the respect of their followers.
I think
which is also something that we
might not have seen her there when she was presented her Jubilee cake. Right, she was given a knife to cut the cake. Now, granted, she can't eat the cake really because of her age and body not really being that welcoming to it. So what did she do? She took the knife and just buried it in the top. She said, "I'll have someone else do that." That's what. But the stab action was good. She get him right between the shoulder blade and straight through the heart.
I like it.
But yes, your insurrection. Have you been paying attention to this this fuckfest pantomime? Yes, one-sided fuckfest pantomime. Which, by the way, I saw a Ted Cruz clip, and it was absolutely, to me, it was chilling. He was questioning a person from the FBI, and I don't know if this was related to the insurrection or if it was an older one, but connected. He asked them if they could mention if there are any agents involved in the insurrection, encouraging it on.
Oh, yeah.
And the response was, "I can't answer that." Wait, what?
Yeah, that's an older quote, but I'm familiar.
Is that not connected to the insurrection, or is it something else?
Oh, it is. It is absolutely.
That's chilling.
Oh, of course.
How can you not provide an answer?
Because that would reveal that Ray Epps was in fact an FBI informant who told people to storm the Capitol the day before the insurrection, thus delegitimizing the entire complaint about A, Trump's second impeachment, and B, this entire committee. And if they lose that, then they lose the big bad.
They have the majority, don't they? They had the majority, so they'll win it anyway, won't they?
Well, I don't know about that.
Come on,
but
what do they need? Do they need 2/3 of a vote this time, or what?
This isn't even like a fucking impeachment. This is them just bitching.
Oh, okay. I thought there was some validity. Like this would be. I thought this was their way of making it certain even that Mr. Trump couldn't run for office again.
Well, okay, so yes, that is true, but they have been asked in the past if they are going to recommend the DOJ do any kind of criminal investigation, and the chairperson has given mixed answers. They have said that we lack the power to do that, and then in other circumstances, he has said, well, actually, we didn't take that off the table, so.
Right.
I don't know what you guys are on about.
Useful.
Yeah. So I think as well noted, this is quite literally just a show trial. I think this is them literally just bitching and moaning.
That's pathetic.
Yes, it is.
I was expecting more of it, and as always, I've been disappointed.
Well, they drummed it up. They made it all nice and fancy.
Oh, they certainly drummed it up.
Prime time spot. MSNBC literally won't shut the fuck up about it.
It's not surprising, is it?
Nothing is coming to fruition for them. Like, I get it. They're like talking about, I'm gonna call it relatively new information.
Yeah.
It's not real. It's not really new. It's information people forgot. And that's been their thing. They're talking about, they brought in Pence's like lawyers and some of his staff the other day, but Pence didn't show up. Can't imagine why.
Does he have a reason to care?
Well, he does. Depends on who he wants to get favor with. If Pence does not wish to gain favor with, if he wants to hold any kind of influence he has in the Republican Party, he won't say anything. Because right now the Republican Party, by and large, is filled with people who think that this is a show trial, which is full of shit.
I had heard that there was a chance. When I looked at Pence just when we were starting, there was a thing that indicated he might go for a presidential run, but I don't see him winning.
I don't think so. Well, if he does, it's going to be against Trump, and that's going to be a very interesting thing for people to decide.
He's not.
You're going to have a lot of establishment and more center-left Republicans going that Pence is the wise decision, and you're going to have literally everybody else say no.
Not if you want to win. If you want to win, you don't go with Pence. Pence won't beat Biden.
Well, that's also a good point, honestly. Pence won't beat Biden. That's fair. It really depends on how much you expect.
I still can't believe Biden beat Trump, though, to be honest. I remember us talking about it the night before, and we were like, I don't see how Biden wins, and then he won, and we were like, wait, what the fuck has just happened?
Yeah. I apparently can't even talk about that because they're actually retroactively going back and demonetizing people who even remotely mention potential compromises to our great and powerful one China Republic, most secure election.
United Federated States, yeah?
Yes, absolutely. Yes. The People's Republic.
Democratic People's Republic.
Yes, right. I'm sorry, the People's Democracy of the United States.
Of course.
Yes, if you say anything about the potential that things were not legitimate, there have been some strikes that have been gone out.
Just to be clear, the US election result was 100% total legitness. And we here on the Moistski Live channel respect the result of the total legitness result that had one of the greatest turnouts in all history.
Yes, and totally has no implications or correlations or any kind of funny looky here to Biden's Twitter followers and the amount of people who follow him who were bots.
There was nothing sus about that election. Anyone that says otherwise is just in denial.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, and I would never say that if you wanted my unadulterated and unfiltered opinion,
follow him on Twitter.
You definitely shouldn't follow me on Twitter.
Yeah.
Twitter.com/TrupsLP. Totally shouldn't follow me there if you want to hear about such conspiracies. That would be
how they might come about in a more unfiltered fashion. Of course, we on this channel cannot condone those the alleged actions of one on Twitter, and obviously they should not in any instance be an indicator of what our beliefs are on YouTube, which are totally different because we don't want to lose our channels.
I need a soundboard so that I can just start playing like the imposter sound effect.
Oh, the dun
from Among Us.
Yeah.
I just need to do that every time there's a sus thing. That'd
be awesome.
That would be fun. Anyways, Yeah, totally. Nothing's wrong with it.
Nope.
Anyways, so they. I don't know what's gonna happen with that whole January 6th committee. Right now, it's just a pile of shit. And the other thing is, so many people don't fucking care.
I'm not surprised. It is. I mean, I only know about it because of Monkey, and the people don't. I don't see a reason to care because it isn't. It isn't exactly a fair representation thing. It's just like an excuse to complain solely. There's nothing really you're getting out of this beyond bitching.
Right, and also like, why would anybody care?
At this point, why? Because right now, the main priority of this country your country should not be that. The priority of your country should be trying to fix the very things that since Biden's been in office and the buck stops with him, they've gone to absolute shit. And don't forget here, the buck does stop with him. And we've had this where others have said, yeah, but it was stuff on, Trump, and Trump's been out of office for 2 years. All right? At this point, let's just say that charitably. Right? He's been out of office. All that's happened under Biden, if this happened under Trump, you'd be all the fuck over him. Shut the fuck up. All these issues right now are killing your country, and your economy is going to tank very soon. You don't have an out on this one. And the buck stops with him. Straight up.
Unfortunately, because I'm going to give props to the new, I guess, I don't know if he's the CEO, but you know how Jeff Zucker from CNN retired or resigned?
Yeah.
Well, the new guy apparently has been trying to curb the enthusiasm of some of the CNN employees.
Okay.
And tried to, for example, get them to stop using terms like breaking news when it's not breaking news, because it makes them sound like they're not real journalists.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to give the dude credit, because that seems like an actual journalist trying to do something with this business that he has acquired in a more responsible way than Jeff Zucker did.
Yeah.
And so I have to give them credit. That being said, I also think they're a little bit full of shit, because that seems really convenient that now when shit's about to hit the fan, you want to suddenly become good journalists.
Well, it's not going to make them good journalists anytime soon, is it?
Works.
Yeah, they're not going to be seen as good journalists anytime soon, I'm afraid.
No, they're not. The public trust in CNN has gone down the wayside, and not to mention the amount of people who currently believe that there is an actual media-driven civil war type thing. Like, simply based on culture war. I mean, we've lived on the internet through 2015. We know the culture war, at least, is real. The real question is, okay, well, does this expand into anything else? And my hope to God is no, let's not do that. I don't want to do that. That sounds like shit.
Yeah, it does.
But I can't not accept the fact that we are looking at our country is going down the shitter, and MSNBC decides that the thing that they need to cover the most is talking about a insurrection that they characterize as a deadly insurrection. Mm-hmm. Mind you, the only person who died at the hands of somebody else directly was literally one of the protesters who was shot by Capitol Police. Yeah. All of the other deaths were either ruled as a medical emergency that was not handled, like I believe it was 4 of the individuals who also were protesters, or the cop who originally had been said to have sustained injuries that had led to him being, killed, but actually was found to be later, after autopsy, that no, in fact, it was not that. It was, I believe it was a heart condition that he had previously or something along those lines. It was something along those lines.
Oh.
I'm gonna be honest. I stopped listening after they said it wasn't due to the thing. I'm like, okay, cool. That's all I needed.
Yeah. The moment I don't need the context, to be honest. It's absolutely redundant to us.
Well, right, because at that point, that's all I cared about. Like, oh no, it's terrible that this guy lost his life, but it was not related. So at that point, that's natural causes. So sorry for your
But
loss.
yeah, well, yeah, of course.
And that's
But
about it, though.
yeah,
And I mean, honestly, like they keep drumming up like this hate mongering for this January 6th thing, and it's not going to help them. It's not going to fix the country if you get DOJ to file criminal indictments on January 6th. That's not going to stop the recession from happening. It's not going to put money back in people's pockets. And the fact that it's so blatantly just for fucking midterms or a 2024 situation is actually sickening. Of course, I know that that's what they're after. Of course it is. But it's so fucking disgusting that all people care about in Washington, D.C. is themselves.
that's pretty
It's
much
gross.
it's pretty much just politics for you, and I fully agree with you.
Like, there's literally just nobody cares. I'm like, okay, guys, okay, cool. Anyway, so somebody had asked us if we wanted to talk about WikiLeaks, and I don't know what necessarily there
All I
is to
can
talk
say,
about WikiLeaks.
all we can say, Priti Patel signed off on the extradition order, so Julian Assange will be tried as a war criminal in America, which won't make any president look good, by the way. Sorry, but no.
True story. But
still
damn
think-
it, they're going to do it.
I'm with Sticks on this. Just before he left office, but Trump had the opportunity. He could have pardoned him.
Yeah,
I think he should have personally.
probably, but I don't know what else he had been told.
I think it's just an optics thing. I think it would have. I think that definitely resonates better than some of the other names. But I
Sure.
don't know. Doesn't matter. That's all I can say. He's being extradited and he's going to be in America as a war criminal, which we don't agree with here because well, he exposed some rather dark corruption, or his site WikiLeaks.
Right, because he wasn't wrong.
No, he wasn't wrong. I'm sorry. I know that but that system was proven to then be corrupt. I'm sorry, but
Mm-hmm. On a small lighter note,
Yeah.
I did bring this up as one of the potential topics because I thought it was funny. So Kamala Harris is
vegetable.
is going to be heading up a board of online harassment and abuse, a White House task force. Sounds a lot like British shit, doesn't it?
We
Or
like to share the
EU,
love.
I should be more specific.
I mean, EU is more accurate, but we, the UK, do like to share the love. And we like to give robots a fair chance in life, especially ones that don't have any personality, sound like a child when they speak, and can't actually speak unless there's words in front of them.
Oh, yes, of course. Now,
Both Tweedledee and Tweedledum, apparently.
yes. Trump is not the solution. He is corrupt. Look at his Dr. Oz nomination, for example. Do tell, Charles. I definitely want to hear about that. Do write your thoughts on that.
I know nothing.
Expound on your thought process.
I know nothing, so by all means, educate me. I, of course, live...
Oh, I mean, don't get me wrong. Dr. Oz is an absolute shit tier candidate. But I want to know. Oh, absolutely.
I don't know who he is, so do forgive me, mate.
Well, Dr. Oz was a TV doctor that had made a lot of...
the cringy ads! I've seen his Twitter. Sorry. No, I know who he is now. I saw his Twitter the other day. I just remembered his name. Yeah, no. He's done some ads for Senator, hasn't he?
No, he's an absolute fucking scumbag.
Yeah, but he's going for Senator, isn't he, at the moment?
Yeah. Something like that.
I don't know who he is beyond that. I've just seen the cringy ads.
No, he's a scumbag. But I want to know why. I want to know why somebody else thinks that. I know why I think that, but I want to know why others do. Because mostly, let's be honest, a lot of the time when people say things, they don't always have a, a reason. And I want to know if there's a reason. Um, because in my personal opinion, Dr. Oz has advocated for red flag laws as an example.
What is that?
Red flag laws are ways that right now the government is trying to limit the rights of individuals to own firearms. Red flag laws are basically like, hey, somebody said that you had, let's just say you had once gotten angry and let's just say you smashed a mirror and you had the cops called on you once for scary, right?
Yeah, of course, scary, very scary.
Potentially that could mean that you straight up do not get to have a firearm.
So I had seen
Extreme example, but
I had seen that the House had passed a bunch of gun control reforms, I believe.
mhm.
And they were championing this, and then there was like the usual, but it's going to get to the Senate, and they won't get it through because the Republicans, they hate people, they hate living, they just want guns. Argument that was touted as always. I'm not entirely sure about these laws in the first place.
Well, okay, so we had talked about it last time, and I had made the point that red flag laws, especially when you start introducing mental health as part of those red flag laws,
Yeah.
you open up the door to basically I don't want to call it abuse per se, but yeah, abuse by the government by saying that if you have anything that we could consider a mental health deficiency, that we could just put a little check mark next to your name and you can no longer obtain a gun.
So the problem really is that where someone says that this is fine and valid, problem you've got is, and it's been proven already, and you've got someone now going to your country as a war crime criminal because of what they proved, and that was that there was corruption in very high levels of your system, and people will abuse it if they can. You cannot trust the system.
Really.
It's a case of whether you can trust the system or not. And,
Never.
And in this instance, I'm afraid, many will say no. Others will reply with, well, won't you please for once think of, and then insert this, what has happened that's led to people not being alive anymore. And the counter to that is always, can you please stop trying to use an appeal to emotion? Because focus on the issue at hand.
Well, right, but they can't do that.
No, they can't, and I'm not trying to take the humanity out of an issue. I don't have guns. I've made it clear. I don't need to have a voice in this. But if I'm going to add a voice, it's going to be, I'm less inclined to listen to somebody when they try and use a tragedy as a point to curtail a majority of freedom of some kind, because it's not. This is not as well. I don't know how to explain this. Actually, I find it fascinating that what causes the greater number of deaths in your country are championed as lifestyle choices and okay.
Diabetes.
I mean, that's certainly up there, isn't it? But I just no, that's a distraction. Actually, I think when people start inserting emotional things, we can't tackle the issue as an issue without it just cringes me out. Without it then being devolved, and then you're treated either as somebody that cares about the people or someone that doesn't care about the people. Don't focus on that. Focus on the issue itself.
Well, the problem.
Go on.
The problem with the and I've noticed there's a shift in how they've talked about it. Now it's it's not gun control advocates anymore. It's gun safety advocates.
Mm-hmm.
What they legitimately are trying to do is not provide gun safety. They are not trying to, let's say, keep guns out of the hands of people who would do harm. They introduced legislation that would introduce restrictions on legal, law-abiding gun owners.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the major problem with any time you introduce any kind of gun control legislation. Laws apply to those who follow the law.
Mm-hmm.
This is always true. Always. Laws do not apply to those who choose to break the law.
That's a myth.
Especially when we have an entire, whether it's the Summer of Love, in which $2 billion worth in damage and very few convictions out of it because DAs just didn't want to prosecute them. In fact, they just voted out one of those DAs in San Francisco, I think 2 weeks ago. They lost.
I heard about that, actually.
Yeah. That was one of the people who just wasn't prosecuting people for committing crimes. And I guess the people decided that they didn't like that.
That's one in California, isn't it?
Yes, it is. San Francisco, yep.
I think it's going to need some change. I couldn't disagree more. I
hope so.
I'd like it to, but I don't think it will.
Depends on who they end up voting in.
Very true.
Because even a California Republican is still very left. Like, for example, Arnold Schwarzenegger is a California Republican, but he's still very left in policy, which is fine. It works for the state. And actually, I believe under Arnold, they did very well. I think California did better than they're doing now. But in terms of guns and red flag laws and all these other things that they're trying to do, whether they're trying to introduce mental health, like you need to go through a mental health background check in order to get a thing, or you need an expanded background check more than the one that already happens, which is a quick criminal background check. Basically, they check your name, they check your social security ID, and make sure you've never been booked in prison or you've ever had a charge levied against you, because that is what already happens. And so if they expand that to basically what you have to do to get government access, which is you have to call 5 people and they have to vouch for you, which is also something that happens in, I think, New Jersey and New York as well.
Really?
When you apply to get a gun, yeah. But you have all these things, and all it's going to do is it's going to take guns out of the hands of law-abiding gun owners, and it's going to effectively disarm the people who just want to live their life. What it's not going to do is it's going to keep the people who do bad things from obtaining weapons, because, as we well know, our government, as well as individuals, have a bad habit of letting guns get into the hands of bad people.
I had seen a tweet from Sophane, and he said that if the government did a buyback scheme, he'd be all in favour of it, because he only got them to protect himself.
No. Buybacks are bullshit.
I know nothing of them, but I vaguely get the concept, and I don't think it's a good idea at all.
I think
Also,
Australia
your country can't afford
and New
it.
Zealand did them. True. Well, actually, they can, because you know that if we did a buyback, they would take all the guns that they bought back and they would send them to Ukraine.
Doesn't mean they have the money for it.
Yeah, well, basically, it's going to be a written IOU to continue the money laundering process that they do. I mean, what? Who said that? I didn't say that.
That's
What?
a conspiracy.
No.
Tinfoil hat, Mick.
What?
Tinfoil hat.
You mean No. The government said we didn't have any biolabs in Ukraine, and then said we had 46. Oh, right. That's right. That's how that happened. Oh yeah. Will the Supreme Court block it? I have no idea. I hope so.
Have they overturned the Roe v. Wade thing yet?
So we're waiting for like a bunch of decisions right now from the Supreme Court.
They're taking their time. They're taking their time.
I bet they're fucking afraid. Brett Kavanaugh had somebody go after him last week.
Really?
Yeah,
Well, that's a bit silly.
he called the cops on himself. I think he chickened out. But I'm okay with that because that was a bad thing.
Yeah.
And it was really funny. Freedom Tunes made a fucking animation about it. He was like, "What was the motivation of the shooter? We just can't figure it out." And then he just plays in the background like all the people who have been like, "The reckoning is coming."
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, no, we have no idea where the fuck this motivation came from to do terrible things. So fucking crazy. So the Senate voted down also. Okay, so fun story about that. Will the Senate vote down the bill to introduce red flag laws and all that shit? Okay, so apparently there are 10 Republicans who are willing to put in place red flag laws and other such things. And there have been a couple of groups who have been trying to mobilize their respective constituents to call the offices and say, no, we do not support this. Whether or not they're going to agree is another story. You'll notice that senators who had just got voted in will be a little bit more willing to take risks that would go against their constituents, because we don't have a way to unseat sitting senators if we think they're doing a bad job.
So no vote of no confidence then?
We don't have that. I wish we did.
I think it'd be an interesting system to have, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. I feel like we would get a lot of those, though. I mean, technically, you could impeach a senator, but that's a lot of effort.
I mean, if they get enough complaints from their... I'm using a freaking bobbler thing on my arm. Sorry, it's on my t-shirt. It was pissing me off. Bobble remover. My apology. Soliloquy for the audio thing. It's a bobble.
I was wondering what that was.
It was pissing me off. It's a thread on my t-shirt. It was doing my fucking head in, mate.
I see.
Anyway, yeah. I don't know anything about any of this, but if enough constituents, as you referenced them, do call that senator's office, surely then that senator, regardless of how long they've been there or how new they are, they're going to have to take notice of this.
I'm not sure.
Well,
I mean, at the very
retiring,
least,
apparently,
the senators should already be aware.
I would say if you're a senator and you're retiring, and your last act is to your last act is to do something that can be considered a bit un-Republican, you're not going to be very popular wherever you are, certainly in your own home state.
Right. Let me see if I can find the list. Nope, that's not quite right. That's just saying that they mentioned it. Here are the 10 Senate Republicans who are backing the bipartisan bill. Okay. Senator John Cornyn of Texas, Tom Tillis of North Carolina, Roy Blunt of Missouri, Rob Portman of Ohio, Richard Burr of North Carolina, Mitt Romney of Utah, shocker, Bill Cassidy of Louisiana, Susan Collins of Maine, Lindsey Graham of South Carolina, and Pat Toomey of Pennsylvania.
The one that surprised me was the Texas one.
Mm-hmm.
The others, not so much. Well, only recognise Lindsey Graham and Mitt. Mitt, I figured would, because he's a bit too family friendly.
Mm-hmm.
Lindsey Graham surprised me a little bit, actually, to be honest.
So Graham is willing to do it in certain circumstances. His willingness to do some sort of gun control is he wants to put retired and former military members as armed security schools as a way to basically provide them with something to do, right? I do know that there are many people who have a hard time adapting to civilian life after their thing. So they often end up becoming cops or security guards. That doesn't always necessarily provide them with the it puts them more in a situation where they think that bad things are going to happen.
Yeah.
In a school, they might be able to. It might be a better way to transition from point A to point B. I think that's a better place. But that's all that The Hill has said on Lindsey Graham. They have not expounded on what other gun control measures he's willing to support.
Yeah.
But yeah, very much
Okay.
interesting.
Well, we've gone for an hour and 20 minutes, and I'm going to have to go to bed very, very soon because I have an early start tomorrow. So
Yes,
would Trups like to promote anything before we finish?
My Twitter is going to tell you where all the things that I do are. So if I happen to be going on Twitch, it'll be on Twitter, and that's going to be at my, the thing that I mentioned earlier. I'm going to put it again here. All right.
You are such a rock star.
Yeah, rock and roll, brother.
Okay, well, I'm not going to promote anything because I'm too lazy.
Okay.
So
Fair
thank you all
enough.
very much for joining. Unless Trups isn't here next week, we should be back next week.
I should be here, yes.
Fantastic. In that case, then, we're going to disappear, and we'll see you all next time. Say goodnight, Trups.
Bye-bye.